Surmounting grief and tragedy, they carry on the show must go on tradition of the entertainment world. We now give you those peerless exponents of the high wire, Jenny, Carl, Herman, Andy, and Gunther Wallenda.
Telescope. Brought to you by General Motors of Canada, makers of Canada's most popular cars and trucks.
Not quite 2 years ago, a similar voice came up to that crescendo in Detroit, introducing the great Wallenda's. And out on the high wire, without a net below, marched not the pyramid of 3 you've just seen, but a pyramid of 7. 4 men slowly walked the wire. Their shoulder harnesses supported rods on which 2 more men stood. These, in turn, supported a girl at the top of the pyramid. The applause from the crowd was rising when the lead man suddenly cried out and fell, and the pyramid of Wallenda's became a shambles of screams and falling bodies. Once before, during practice, the pyramid had fallen, but all 7 safely caught the wire. This time in Detroit on January the 30th, 1962, 3 men fell 36 feet to the concrete floor. 2 were killed. The other, at 22, was in hospital for months. Now he's in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down. Still, the show goes on for the Wallenda's, and the natural question is, why? In a moment, Telescope will take you to the Adirondacks to meet and watch the surviving Wallenda's at work on the wire.
People think we have a wonderful life. We work only 10 minutes up there. They don't know what it is like, you know. I think it's a happy life. It's hard sometimes. On the road, it's pretty hard. But we always together. You see, when you have another job, the husband's going to work in the factory or he works in the office. Wherever he is, he's alone, and the wife works some other place. And we mostly together. This makes it nice, you know, for family.
Gunther, what you think about that we could make the bicycle trick this afternoon?
If the gusty wind stops. What is it now?
Can I go up on the wire this afternoon?
Look, how many times I told you, if it is a calm day or what, I gonna let you go, but you have to practice a little more now.
I have practiced ever since I've gotten here and a little bit longer.
Maybe someday. Gunther, what do you think about it?
Well, we were just talking about the gusty wind. Now, we're not going to send him up with this wind.
It's not
he
that
gets in the
windy.
middle. You get in the middle and get a gust of wind, you don't know what happened. Sure, there's a net there, but I mean, you know,
That
that's no
net'll
sense.
hold me.
I know the
But,
net will hold you, but there's no sense in putting up there in this wind. Start off on a calm day.
I tell you what, if it is real calm, and Günther promised me he's up on the other side, I let you go up. But please practice a little bit more, huh? Do a little bit more, and then I want to see if you're good. And don't tell your mother, because your mother wouldn't even be here, you know.
Okay.
She's going to snack you away and don't let you work on the wire. You know that too, huh?
You know, it's funny. As a child, you're impressed by so many things now. I used to watch my family working during the show. Used to watch them practicing every day. These are things that, well, as I said, I was just around the group, and these things very much impress you, especially when they're working up in the air. They're in a world by themselves up there. Fancy costumes, the stillness when they're doing something dangerous. Then after that, the applause of the audience. It just seems to attract you. And that said, as a child, this very, very much impresses you. There's no question there at all. And this is part of the thing. You just automatically follow into this. This doesn't necessarily mean that it is the only choice you have had, but it just seems to be the choice you naturally take, because this is just a way of life for us, and we're brought up into it completely.
The old days, I tell you, the old days used to be. When you talk about the old days, it's Europe, where the performer worked 11 months a year. 11 months a year. And if he wanted to lay off, he says, all right, I'll lay off for Christmas, or I don't work that week. But later on, you couldn't depend on working 11 months a year anymore. You had to take whatever you could get. That could be to any holiday. The other people like to stay home. We had to work. Christmas, Easter, Labor Day and all those days are our working days. When other people want to have a vacation, that's when we have to work. And so since you don't work that much anymore, as I told you, maybe you work 20 weeks a year, it's not a living anymore. I wouldn't recommend anybody to go in show business anymore, because you just can't make a living. Maybe 1 out of 10 has an act where he can work in nightclubs, all right. But as a circus performer,
I started looking down, and all of a sudden I saw there was something wrong with my cousin. He had the pole slipped somehow in the tip of his fingers. And then he lifted the pole up to catch it again, and that gave a horrible jerk through all of them. And all of a sudden I saw him tumble forward down, and my brother right after him, and I just screamed like mad. And then next my husband went down, and then I looked again. I looked for a second away. I saw my husband on the floor, and then I looked up, and then I saw that my father and my uncle caught the wire, and they were holding on to my little cousin, and Günther, my cousin, he was still standing on the wire, and went in there to help him. Then I don't know nothing no more. I don't know how I came off the wire. It's just like a big nightmare, and it's a real blackout. Well, I went with the train and brought 2 bodies back to Sarasota, and well, then I decided, I thought I never could go on a wire. I didn't even want to look at a wire no more. When I saw the wire, the tears came in my eyes. So I stayed home that whole year, and I got letters all the time. Then I told my father, well, Daddy, I have to prove it to myself if I can do it again. I just want to see if I have the nerve. So that made me decide to go on a wire, but I was going to do it just for this one show. And, well, after I was the first time up there, that made me decide I want to go back, since that's my life, and I was always on the performers. And being home, private people are wonderful, and they treated me wonderful. They helped me in every way they could. But it was just, I have nothing in common to talk with them. When I tell them about show business, they love it and they take it all in, but they don't understand really what I'm talking about. And when they start talking about their life, it's the same with me. I don't understand them at all. I don't know what they're talking about or what their life is, because it's a complete different life to us. So when in the wintertime, all the performers came back home, and I remember the last year when they all left and said goodbye, and I was all left alone, I decided this time, when they leave, I leave too. And that's how I got back in show business.
Oh, the audience is still the same. Of course, since television, you see on television every week, once or twice, the circus boy and other circus. It is not quite a novelty anymore as it used to be. And a lot of people don't think, oh, why should we go there?
Günther, I think we take Tino up. I decided, it's good enough. What do you think about this?
I think he's okay to go up.
Well, listen, if you want to take Tino up, you better go first to his father and ask him, because I don't want the responsibility alone.
Well,
and besides that, if you go up, if you have Tino go up, I don't go up. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to do it.
You've got to start sometime.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch it.
What better
it's a
time
different
with the
thing.
net here?
Look, if I go alone, that's all right. If I go up there, then it's my own responsibility. But if you have your children, that's a different thing. I don't want it. I don't want no part of it.
You've got the big net down here. Now, what do you...
I don't care about
did you
that
start with a
net.
Did you
No,
have
I
net?
didn't, but I don't like the net.
He's good, you know it.
Look,
Well, I
take it
know
easy.
he walks
Take
in
it
practice
easy,
well, but he
Jenny.
doesn't just,
No.
leave me
Oh,
alone.
what's the matter now? Come on, we're going to do it.
Let's ask
look,
Tino.
You don't have to worry. Tino, come in.
Tino, come over
Tino.
here. I think he's ready.
Yes.
You asked me now. You remember? You asked me a lot of times. You work on the wire.
Uh-huh.
Now you're going to work on the wire?
It's
your... Well, she says it's all right, but their father has to know too,
Yeah.
Your father,
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, look, he has to go sometime.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch it, that's all. I just don't want to be there when he
Jenny,
does
he's been
it.
practicing almost a
Don't
year now.
worry
He's
about
just going to
him.
walk.
Look, I say now, he has to go. He's ready now. That's it. Okay? Now, don't make such a sourpuss face now. Come on. You went to the worst, Okay? Now, look, Tino. When you go up there, don't look. We make it. When you go up there, you have to take the pole. And what I tell you, you're going to do. You remember?
For 183 years, there have been Wallenda's in the circus game, and 12-year-old Tino is bent on adding to the total. One wonders if Carl and Herman can override the fears of Tino's mother, whose husband did not survive the Detroit fall. We'll return to our story after this message.
Well, it just seems natural, since we're associating in our own line of business, our own work, that you automatically tend to marry someone in the same social pattern or state of society, we should say. And I would say 9 out of 10 times you will marry someone who is in the business itself. Of course, I was married myself, and my wife was an aerialist and an acrobat before. Met her down in Mexico City. Now, we were married about 5 years when she fell from an aerial act. This was rather tragic. I mean, I can look back on it now, and it doesn't hurt as bad as it did then. It's just time heals all things. However, she fell, and she spent about 8 months in the hospital, and she didn't quite make it, let's put it that way. And still, we accept these things. All in all, then, of course, our big accident, which happened just a little bit over a year ago back in Detroit, these are things that no amount of fame can overcome this. My own personal feeling on this is that we could give all the fame, all the newspaper headlines, all the pictures, everything back, and just have these people back. I think I'd be a lot happier. But the way life is, one must accept life as such, and we know, although we'd like to, but we know that we cannot change what has passed. We must continue on at the present time. We must continue on working for the future, and that's just the way it is in life all the way around.
Watch the wind, Dad.
I don't believe the audience actually realizes just how much difficulty there is involved. We get crosswind, or we get gusty wind that stop. You can compensate for a steady wind, say 5, 6 miles an hour. But if that wind stops, you have overcompensated by 5 or 6 miles an hour, and that's not too good. So that's why gusty winds are one of the worst things. Then, of course, when it's raining, you're working on steel up there, steel cable, everything is slippery, everything is wet. You have to be extra careful. Used to be at one time before these synthetic materials came out, we had generally cotton socks or the equivalent of that. If it was raining, we would take off the leather shoes, which slip, and use the cotton socks, which don't. Then we got into the synthetics, and we found out that the synthetics are slipperier than if you keep your shoes on. Now, these are just little minor items that the average person would have no knowledge of at all. And this, there are a lot of little things that we take for granted. They're second nature. We don't even think about doing them. We do them because we're just so used to doing these things.
My greatest tragedy in our show business was that accident we had in Detroit. When, by the night show, we was up there, and I have to explain exactly how it was, because I was middleman and I never thought that I would survive this accident. My nephew was in front of me, and he murmured something. I don't know what he murmured, but he told me, he gave me a sign that something was wrong, but I couldn't understand, and it was too late to stop anything because we was in the middle of the wire and we was almost finished. Then when my nephew, other nephew, Gunther, the last from the pyramid, said we start going, and by the second step, he fell. He crashed down. I was on top of him, and right on that shoulder bar. My niece was on top of me, behind. The only thing what I thought, save what you can save. By the next moment, I found myself hanging in my knee, and my niece came falling, scratching in my neck, and I grabbed her when she slipped off, because everything, our silk customs and everything broke. She slipped off, and I grabbed and held her by my hand. At least I could save her, and I felt very good. If it was not for her, maybe I would have jumped down myself. When I saw down in the ring 3 of my beloved laying there, it was my niece was in my hands, my nephew below, my son-in-law below, and my son. My nephew and my son-in-law died 1 hour after. My son is paralyzed for life, and he's home at my home in Florida. So that's the greatest accident, I think, what ever happened in show business. Well, the first opinion, when you get somebody on the wire, you tell him, no matter what you do, if you see something wrong, never mind about the pole, grab that wire, charge for the wire. We even practice with the people how to fall, how to hang on, that nothing can go. In the minute you get that wire, that's your only safety point you have when something happens. When on the wire, when you go on the high wire, you have fear. You absolutely have fear. I don't want anybody going on that wire, because if he doesn't have any fear, he's getting so reckless, he threw the other people off, because he doesn't know what it means with. We all fear. We all fear. We know what it is, what it means. There's danger underneath you. And if you don't do it the right way, we're going to be dead. That's what we're fearing. But I have no more fear now than before that accident. I still feel this is our life, and we have to work on that wire. After the accident, I was brought in a hospital because I was injured. I had fractured pelvis bone. I had double hernia pulled out by the strength of this impact. Also, the whole legs, everything was carved open from the wire. So the doctor said I need an operation right away. But just the same night, I saw my brother and my nephew working on the wire. I wasn't satisfied with the act because without 3 of us couldn't do something good. I told the doctor I've been all right, I have to go out. And I promised the doctor I do nothing foolish. But as soon as I came to the building, that was afternoon show. I get my costume on and walked up the wire again. Now people ask me why. I give the answer. I said, why we live. We have to survive. We have to exist. After all, we don't want to go for starvation. We have to eat too. That's the main thing in our life. You have to do their job, no matter what it is. Anybody has to go back to his job. After all, that's his existence, his life. It's not alone the money. By a performer, I think money is secondary. A performer is happy. Happy in the minute you can make other people happy. When you see, for instance, I be on that wire and I see the public and they smiling at me, the applause, this is their gratitude, their thank you to us, and we feel so close to them that we are at heart so happy. This is more worth than the money.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is, believe it, the very first time for Tino. Of course, you know, every boy has those momentous decisions to make. And this is the one he has made, and he's been testing his grandfather that he can walk across the wire. So since New York State makes us use the net anyway, we think this is as good a place and as fine a place as any.
If you feel that you'll
And it depends on the wind.
again, it's on your free will. You wanted to do it.
Thank you.
Good boy, Tino.
Both 3 axial generations on the wire itself. Carl, who is Jenny's father, and Jenny, who is Tino's mother.
Very good.
A fact that interested me about Tino and seems to have meaning with regard to all the Wallenders is that no one, not even his mother, can remember when Tino first walked a wire. To them, it's like one of us trying to remember when one of our children first used a playpen. Carl was 17 and Herman 21 when they started the High Wire Act. But Carl was only 12 the first time he had a chance for a circus job. His mother wouldn't let him go. He can remember even now, he says, standing crying in the ring with all the rigging coming down, heartbroken because the circus was leaving and he couldn't go along. From when the Wallenda'S did become famous, Carl was the leader, standing on the wire like a ship's captain, uttering a continuous stream of commands, caution, and advice. He's doing this somewhere tonight. It is his own vast bridge in time from the boy he had been crying in the dismantled ring. In Winnipeg, where the Wallenda'S performed last July, a reporter named Noel Swan asked Herman, now 62, when he would retire. Herman replied, "When does a performer retire?" The reporter then asked Carl when he would retire. Carl replied that he'd been training his son Mario to take over as leader of the Flying Wallenda'S. But Mario, of course, was crippled in Detroit. "Now, I must go on working," Carl said. "How long I can go on, I don't know. Only God knows that."
telescope has been brought to you by General Motors of Canada, makers of Canada's most popular cars and trucks.
Use the phone to make calls and stuff.
Well, why don't you just text, you know?
Instagram, chat roulette, Voxer is a new one out there.
Okay, seriously, guys, don't we have to introduce someone?
We do. She's been dropping hits.
Las noticias. Guillermo José Torres había cobrado fama a nivel del mundo. Le tocó cubrir la muerte de Karl Wallenda.
El viento desde el extremo del condado Holiday Inn le llama a sus familiares para que se controlen. Ahí se aguanta. Señor, hemos visto una de las cuestiones más difíciles y más tristes en nuestra vida. ¿Cómo es posible que algo así ocurra, señoras y señores? Ha caído el sensacional Karl Wallenda.